So probably a couple months ago, Christian asked if he could share something with our community, and I agreed. And he's shared with me what he wants to share with you guys this morning. Um, and I'm going to read this little creed from the book Children of Dune, which is part of what he's reflecting off of. What he wants to talk to us about is his own spiritual journey and his beliefs right now and where he is. And I think that's a good thing. A lot of the things I think he will say, some of us identify with strongly because it's questions we've had, it's things we've wrestled with, it's things we're not sure about as well. And he's going to share some of that. But one of the things we are as a community is we talk about loving one another. And I think that one of the ways we do that is we listen to one another and we hear one another well, where we are and where we are on our spiritual journey. And so in that sense, in that spirit, I would like for us to hear what Christian has to say this morning. And a little bit later, I'll have a few words from Romans 8. But here's the creed that comes from this novel, Children of Dune. Religion is the emulation of the adult by the child. Religion is the insistment of past beliefs, mythology, which is guesswork, the assumptions of trust in the universe, those pronouncements which men have made in search of personal power, all of it mingled with shreds of enlightenment. And always the ultimate unspoken commandment is, thou shalt not question. But we question. We break that commandment as a matter of course. The work to which we have set ourselves is the liberating of the imagination, the harnessing of the imagination to mankind's deepest sense of creativity.
Thank you. Okay, I think this is working. Hi, my name is Christian. If you don't know me, I play the piano sometimes. Me and my family have been coming here for 3 to 4 years. So yeah, quite a while. And believe me, I realize the irony, but I am not a Christian, despite my name being Christian. So I chose to kind of speak here because philosophy and in turn theology is a really big interest of mine, and I'll take any chance I can get to talk about it. But here, I'm going to be discussing belief. So there are many different definitions of the word. The one I think fits best would, or at least in this context, would be a subjective truth. Now, subjectivity comes from like the mind, and so all of us feel things, and these feelings have influence over how we interpret reality to be. Everyone's interpretation is different because we all share unique personalities, and this is kind of why I don't really think that anyone can have a truly objective knowledge of something. It's all subjective, every mind is. And so personally, my beliefs have changed quite drastically over the years. When I was born, I didn't believe anything because I had like no thoughts. But before I could even develop memory, my parents were taking me to church. That's how I was raised, attending every year I could, going to Sunday school, and I was a child, so I would have believed anything you told me. Like one Sunday school, this kid said he had diabetes, and I didn't know what that meant, so I asked him what it was, and he said, it means I'm gonna die in 15 minutes. So I was like, whoa. maybe he wasn't lying. I didn't see him again after that, but um, so religion is kind of the emulation of the adult by the child because most children grow up with this sense of parental objectivism where everything their parent says is true. And it can take like years before they realize that this might not actually be the case. It took quite a while for me. However, I would actually become even more devoted to the religion. So one year, I was probably 8 or 7. I attended or went to this like Christian summer camp for kids, and then like the last day or the last evening we were there, we were all together in the stage area and they were playing music, like 10,000 Reasons. And so my friend who came with me and a few other kids started like swaying to the music and they're locking our arms and shoulders like this. Um, and so in doing that, I felt something very unfamiliar. And I knew God was supposed to communicate with people, so I thought this was just him communicating with me, this feeling that I felt. And now I had this strong sense of devotion to the religion, to, accept Christ as my Lord and Savior. And I did. I even did things like volunteer to be chaplain's aide in Boy Scouts. I left Scouts. I didn't really enjoy it at all. And I did learn a lot, though. Over time, however, all of it started to make less and less sense. Like, for example, Genesis 1 implies, the universe and all of its inhabitants were created spontaneously by God, but Neil deGrasse Tyson says evolution is a scientific fact. So, like, who do I believe? There are ways that discrepancies like this can be worked around. Like, say, if the universe was created in 7 days, maybe the first day is really 10 billion years before the Earth started to form, and then another few billion till there's water and then life and so on. By saying it's all allegorical or metaphorical, But I eventually just didn't see any reason to accept that the Bible was true at all. I didn't know why I should be believing this. Some of my other thought processes were like, it was written by humans, so humans are imperfect and fallible, so there's no way that what they wrote could properly reflect who God is or what his will is. So if God does exist, I wouldn't expect him to be exactly as he's described in the Bible. It does make sense that these authors were just in search of personal power, making assumptions about whatever they couldn't explain. Also, the Bible allows for so many different denominations that are contradictory and they can't all be true. How could God let such a supposedly coherent and unified word be interpreted in so many different ways? And then there are thousands of religions, all with pretty much the same amount of reasoning to have your faith be placed into them. I don't see why I should follow this specific religion out of all of the others because, well, most of them could have the same explanation for some of these spiritual encounters. Maybe it was the Jewish God trying to communicate with you, but you misinterpreted it because you're human. I'll get back to how I view the spiritual encounter pretty soon, but so I didn't turn to another religion when I converted a few years ago. This was maybe when I was 12 or 13. I thought I was a deist. Deism is like the belief that God created the universe and everything, but then he stepped back and now he's indifferent to his creation. So this was because I hadn't seen or experienced anything except for that one time that couldn't be explained by nature, by causation. You know, every event is the effect of a cause, and all of these events could be traced back in the cause and effect chain to the very beginning of the universe through natural events, through my perspective. And, well, what's at the beginning, who knows? Now I'm more agnostic. I could be God who created everything, but it's just as likely reason as any other. So then, a few months ago, I was diagnosed with autism, and so it acted as a great explanation for why, when I was younger, I didn't have many emotional connections, like people I could connect with emotionally, if any at all. And so, at one time, when there were people who actually noticed me and wanted to dance with me, it felt extremely comforting. And also in my research of neurodivergent traits, I read how music can actually have a greater effect on someone who goes through sensory difficulties their whole life. It's just really consoling on a level that's greater than, the average neurotypical person. And so now I have this explanation for something I had previously interpreted to be supernatural. So I don't reject the notion of God, but if you ask me whether he exists, I would say he doesn't need to. But my goal with this is not to debunk Christianity in front of all of you, obviously. That's not what I want to do. I only wish to signify the gullibility of children and the reasons to life or the meanings of life that don't lie within religion or worship, as well as the sheer subjectivity of the intelligent mind. I do think raising children to believe something that they might actually not believe in reality is a bit problematic, but I'm not here to judge your parenting methods. I have no experience, so you do what you think is best. Maybe some of you found your way to the religion later in your life, like you came across the Bible and it happened to align with what you already believe. And if so, that's great. Or perhaps you were raised to believe this stuff too. That's fine also. I only think it's important that you truly ask yourself, what do I believe? It's really important that you find your reason for faith, or if you really even have one at all. Like maybe you're just a Christian because everyone else is, and if so, that's a terrible reason. Not everyone's a Christian. I mean, there are other understandings to life, and it's okay to be different. Thank you. That's the end.